What's hiding on the dark side of the moon? Humans have been staring up at the moon for as long as we've been around, wondering what secrets our sibling in the sky might hold. But for all that time, we've only ever been looking at one side of it, the near side. If the half we can see has proved itself intriguing and mysterious, wait until you hear about the one we can't. This is Unveiled, and today we're answering the extraordinary question, what's hiding on the dark side of the moon? Are you a fiend for facts? Are you constantly curious? Then why not subscribe to Unveiled for more clips like this one, and ring the bell for more fascinating content. It's actually incorrect to call the dark side of the dark side of the moon, which any astronomer worth their salt will point out. The misnomer has led many folk to believe that the other side of the moon is constantly shrouded in darkness, always facing away from the sun, but that's just not true. In actuality, the moon has its own day and night cycle, and both sides get the same amount of light from the sun. The far side is only dark in the sense of unseen and unknown. The reason that the moon has a far side and a near side is that it's tidally locked to the Earth, meaning that it rotates on its own axis at the same speed that it orbits the Earth, leaving one side always facing us. Mind you, the far side isn't quite as elusive as you might think. Because the moon wobbles or oscillates on its axis, a phenomenon called libration, around 18% of the moon's far side can be visible to human eyes depending on which phase it's in. In a literal sense, what you'd find if you went to the far side of the moon is a considerably rougher surface, with more craters and fewer maria. Maria are those large dark patches you can see on the moon's surface, thought to be remnants of vast magma oceans. It was once speculated that the Earth shielded the near side from meteor impacts, but it's now believed that the near side just experienced more volcanic eruptions, creating a smoother surface. This could be in part because the crust of the far side is colder and thicker. The craters on the far side were first photographed in 1959 by the Soviet space probe Luna 3 as it orbited the moon. A year later, the Soviets used this data to publish the first official map of the moon's far side. Then in 1968, humans saw it with their own eyes for the first time during the Apollo 8 mission, which orbited the moon and then returned to Earth. But up until January 2019, every single landing on the moon was made on the near side due to the difficulties in communicating with missions on the far side. The Chinese National Space Administration changed all that when they launched the Chang'e 4 probe carrying the Yutu-2 or Jade Rabbit 2 lunar rover. The aim of sending Yutu-2 was primarily to study the soil and surface temperatures. It discovered that the far side of the moon is even colder than expected, possibly due to the soil composition. This isn't the only new discovery about the moon's far side either. In April 2019, scientists announced the discovery of an enormous mass buried between the South Pole Aitken crater, based on data from NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. The crater is the largest crater we've so far discovered in our solar system, and the mysterious mass is a chunk of metal 5 times the size of the island of Hawaii, buried 186 miles beneath the surface. The researchers have different theories for what it might be. It may be the asteroid that made the crater in the first place, or it could just be oxides on the moon cooling and solidifying. Part of what makes the moon's far side so intriguing is that it's difficult to communicate with the far side from Earth. The Apollo 8 astronauts lost contact with mission control until they emerged from the other side, because the moon itself blocks radio waves. This makes a mission to the far side complicated, but China found a way around it by launching a communication relay satellite, named Chang'e. This satellite orbits the Earth at exactly the same speed as the moon, using the moon's gravity. It does so in a position that's always within sight of Chang'e 4 and the Earth, allowing it to communicate with both. While this was first suggested in the 1960s, it's taken this long for anybody to actually try it, and so far, it works. What this means is that our biggest problem when it comes to communicating with the far side has essentially already been solved. Of course, certain people have very different ideas about what might be hiding just out of sight, and conspiracy theories about the moon's other face abound. Most recently, there have been theories that the entire Chang'e 4 launch was faked. On the other end of the spectrum are people who believe Chang'e 4 is real but has a secret purpose, documenting hidden alien bases on the moon. The aliens on the dark side of the moon theory has been popular for a long time. Theorists claim that astronauts who have seen these aliens have been sworn to secrecy, and that the alien base is codenamed Luna. What the aliens want from us and what they're doing there remains unclear. It does inspire an interesting question, however. Would there ever be a good reason for anyone to build on the far side of the moon? Well, if at some point in the future humans do decide to colonize the solar system with the moon as one of their stops, it could be advantageous to colonize both sides. The far side might get a bit colder, but as said, it does experience a day and night cycle, and we already have communication over there thanks to Chang'e. It's a little harder to get to than the near side, but we wouldn't have to fly spacecraft over there to build. We could just build on the near side and then transport things to the far side by land, using rovers or other lunar vehicles. Another benefit would be for space launches to other parts of the solar system, since the moon has a significantly lower escape velocity than Earth, only 1.5 miles per second compared to Earth's 7 miles per second. This would make a far-side colony ideal for missions to Mars or Venus. Even if colony ideas never come to fruition, the far side of the moon is an ideal location for a radio telescope free from interference from Earth, capable of capturing the best data from elsewhere in space. Though it might just be an enormous expanse of rocks and wasteland, the moon's other face holds lots of opportunities for mankind to build, explore, and discover. And that's what's hiding on the dark side of the moon. What do you think? Is there anything we missed? Let us know in the comments, check out these other clips from Unveiled, and make sure you subscribe and ring the bell for our latest content.